What if the wisest man in history claimed he knew nothing? This paradox has echoed through the centuries, challenging every foundation of human thought. In the heart of ancient Athens, during its golden age, there lived a man who didn't build monuments, but instead dismantled the certainties of everyone he met. He challenged truth, power, and the very meaning of existence. His name was Socrates. He didn't leave a single written word behind, yet his ideas would go on to change the world forever, forming the bedrock of Western philosophy. Born around 470 BC, Socrates was far from the image of a wealthy aristocrat. He was the son of a stonemason and a midwife growing up in a city bustling with intellectual energy. Unlike the philosophers before him, he didn't write books, nor did he establish a formal school like the ones we know today. His classroom was much larger and much more public. He spent his days walking through the sun-drenched streets and marketplaces of Athens. He was a constant presence, a familiar face to everyone from the lowliest laborer to the most powerful politician. He would stop anyone willing to talk. Merchants, soldiers, poets. He sought out those who claimed to have expertise, eager to test the limits of their understanding through conversation. But these weren't ordinary conversations. They weren't debates meant to win or lose. They were something much deeper, a shared journey toward a truth that often remained elusive. Socrates had a very unusual way of teaching. Instead of lecturing his students with answers, he dismantled their assumptions by asking questions. He guided others through questioning, helping them give birth to their own understanding. He asked simple questions that became uncomfortable very quickly. By questioning the definitions of things people took for granted, he exposed the hollow core of their perceived knowledge. What is justice? What is truth? What constitutes a good life? These weren't just academic exercises. They were questions about how we should live and what truly matters. And as people tried to answer, they realized something surprising and often humbling. They didn't really know what they thought they knew. This state of aporia or confusion was the beginning of wisdom. This became known as the Socratic Method. It's a cooperative, argumentative dialogue that stimulates critical thinking and illuminates ideas. It forces us to question our very foundations. He famously stated, "The only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing." By acknowledging our own ignorance, we open ourselves up to the possibility of genuine learning and growth. For Socrates, life had one primary and non-negotiable purpose: to seek the truth. This wasn't a destination, but a continuous, rigorous process of inquiry and self-reflection. He observed that most people lived their lives on autopilot, accepting traditional opinions and societal norms without ever stopping to question if they were actually true or beneficial. But real wisdom came from the difficult work of examining your own life. He urged everyone to know thyself, to understand the motives and values that drive our every action. It was in this spirit that he delivered his most haunting challenge: the unexamined life is not worth living. To live without questioning was to not truly be alive as a rational being. He also held a belief that was radical, that the state of one's soul and being a good person were far more important than any measure of worldly success. Virtue was the highest good. Virtue was more important than money, status, or power. He lived as he preached, in dignified poverty, finding richness in thought rather than possessions. Socrates didn't teach people what to think. He taught them how to think. His legacy isn't a set of dogmas, but a toolkit for critical inquiry that anyone can use at any time. But those who ask difficult questions are rarely celebrated by the powerful. His constant questioning made the elites of Athens deeply uncomfortable and eventually resentful. In 399 BC, at the age of 70, he was brought to trial. The accusations were serious, corrupting the youth and failing to acknowledge the gods of the state. He stood alone against the city. The jury found him guilty. They gave him a chance to choose exile, but Socrates refused to compromise his principles for a few more years of life. He accepted the final sentence. He calmly accepted the sentence of death. Surrounded by his friends, he spent his final hours in philosophical discussion before willingly drinking a cup of poisonous hemlock. They could silence his voice, but not his ideas. By dying for his beliefs, he ensured that his message would resonate with even greater power throughout history. Since Socrates never wrote anything down, we owe our knowledge of him to his devoted students. The most famous among them, Plato, dedicated his life to recording his teacher's dialogues. Plato would go on to teach Aristotle, and together this lineage built the foundation of Western philosophy and ethics, all tracing back to the man who asked questions. Today we live in an age of digital noise. Socrates' message is more urgent than ever. Stop, breathe, and question the information you consume. Thinking is a vital skill. It requires courage to admit what we don't know and to challenge the majority view. But it is only through this process that we can truly grow as individuals and as a society. So next time you feel absolutely certain, ask yourself, do I really know this, or do I just believe it? The first step to true wisdom is always admitting what we don't yet know. If you enjoy exploring timeless ideas and challenging your own perspectives, subscribe to Timeless Thinkers. Let's keep questioning together.